Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the 23 books that I would love to read in 2023. So I've seen a lot of these videos going around. I love when people do them. I've done a couple in the past like this, but essentially this is my way of holding myself accountable to read books that have been on my TBR for the longest and to also prioritize finishing out some series. My goal for this year is to read down my physical TBR. I want to, as little as possible, add new books to my TBR to read. So almost all of these books, 22 of the 23 books, are books I already own that I am like, okay, it's time to read them. And if I don't read them, I just need to get rid of them because they've been on this TBR for far too long. So let's start with the books that are not fantasy, and then I'll talk about all the fantasy books. And a lot of these are just because they've been on my shelves the longest. So starting with The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. I read Room by this author, and it is one of my favorite books of all time. I loved Room so much, and this is a case where I found The Wonder at a used bookstore for a great deal. I picked it up. The problem is that the actual synopsis of this book does not really spark a ton of motivation in me to pick it up quickly. It doesn't sound like the type of premise that I immediately have to reach towards. But sometimes these types of books surprise me and end up becoming all-time favorites, especially because Emma Donoghue, I know I've loved another book by her already. So this is one where it's like, okay, I just need to give it a shot. If I'm not enjoying it, I can DNF it, right? I'm not about completing books that I'm not enjoying, but I just need to give it a shot and see if this is an author where I can read anything by this author, no matter the premise, or if it really was just an author where they wrote an amazing book with a premise that totally spoke to me, and it's not necessarily an auto-buy author. So this is kind of a case, I'm just testing out this author. So I definitely want to get to The Wonder. Britt Marie Was Here by Fredrik Backman. This is another one. It's the same sort of thing. I found it at a used bookstore for a great deal. Fredrik Backman, I've read a lot of books by him at this point and have pretty much loved all of them. He wrote 2 of my all-time favorite books. So I am, again, trying to figure out if just because this premise isn't necessarily the most intriguing to me, let's see if Fredrik Backman is just an auto-buy author where I can enjoy anything by him. And so I haven't had a ton of motivation to pick it up, but I still want to check it out because I just love Backman's writing so much, and the way he does characters is so top-notch in my opinion. So that's another one. The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This was a cover buy, again at a used bookstore, and I loved the cover of it so much. Since I had bought it, I've seen very mixed reviews. A lot of people saying it was quite slow and tedious to get through, which didn't inspire a lot of confidence in this one. But that being said, I own it. I want to give it a shot. If I'm not enjoying it, I'll just DNF it, but the cover is so pretty. I really hope I enjoy this one. A History of Wild Places by Shane Earnshaw. This was one I got from Book of the Month, and it's one that I'm really interested in checking out. I think that unlike the others, I think this premise sounds awesome, and I've seen mixed reviews, which is why I've kind of started to put it off. But I know Shane Earnshaw has written a lot of other books, a lot of YA kind of darker fantasy books that I've also been very interested in picking up. And I think that this is their first foray into adult. And I think it's more of a mystery with some fantastical elements, if I remember correctly. So I think this one sounds like it could be a favorite. It's just the mixed reviews have kind of lowered the priority for me a little bit. But I still really want to check this one out. The Shadows by Alex North. This one I have no excuse for. I should have gotten to this one by now. I loved The Whisper Man so much by this author. It's one of my favorite thriller / horror books of all time. And The Shadows has another great premise. And I loved the first book I read by this author. Why haven't I picked it up? I have no excuse. This is one where it's packed away right now. If I had it out on this shelf this year and didn't have it packed away with half of my life in a pod waiting to be unpacked until we move into our new house, I probably would have read it for Halloween this year. So it's one of those I'm like, oh, I'll read it during Halloween time. And then I didn't have it during Halloween this year, so I still haven't read it. All right, I just need to get to this one. Enough excuses, Jessie, just get to it. The Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleeton. This one I found at Goodwill, and I grabbed it because I was like, oh, I've heard great things about this author. Historical fiction is not a genre I have a ton of motivation for. It is probably a genre that while I'm reading it, I always enjoy it. I can't think of really one historical fiction I've read that I didn't like. I mean, maybe there's a couple, but most of them I've read, I've really enjoyed. So I don't know why I have no motivation to pick up historical fictions when I'm not reading historical fictions, but for whatever reason I do. So that's the reason I haven't picked this one up yet. It hasn't been on my TBR that long. I need to give myself a little bit of a break. So I can't be too hard on myself, but still, this is the year that I finally need to get to Next Year in Havana because this author has come out with so many books since then. So I'd love to see if maybe this will become an auto-buy author for me. I have another book by them as well. So we'll see. I'm excited. The Hypnotist Love Story by Liane Moriarty. Liane Moriarty for me is an auto-buy author. I've loved pretty much every book I've read by this author except for one. Which one? Oh, what was the name of it? It was that stupid one that came out recently about the wellness retreat. God, what was that called? I forget. I'll put the picture of it here. Anyways, that's the only one I didn't enjoy. I've loved everything else I've read by Liane Moriarty. So this is one that's on her backlist. This is an older release by her, and it wasn't as highly rated as her other older releases, but it was something where I'm kind of a completionist in that way with some certain authors where I want to read everything by them, even if it's not the most popular, the most well-rated thing, just to see for myself if, maybe I'll have an unpopular opinion. So I need to get to this one. I haven't had it on my shelf that long. It's been about a year, so I need to get to it. I'm very excited to get to it. Okay, so those are all of the non-fantasy books. Now let's talk about all the fantasy books I have. And I have so many, and some of these I tried to reduce the amount of series I have to start this year. I really don't want to start too many series because I'm doing really well right now with my series count. I'm like actually finishing out series and catching up with them, where I only have like a couple that I still have to do that with. So I'm trying my best not to start too many. All right, but the first one is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I have zero excuse. This has been on my shelves for almost 3 years now. And no excuse, Jessie. None. I said I was going to start this last year. Last year was a really busy year in my life. I gotta, again, give myself a break here. So this year, I'm finally doing it. And I'm actually reading it right now. So I'm literally doing it. I'm starting The Realm of the Elderlings, and I'm actually really enjoying it so far. I can see why everyone loves Hobb's writing. It's really beautiful. It's very beautiful. So I'm finally getting to Robin Hobb. Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, a standalone. Basically, I took any standalone fantasy and put it on this list because I have so many fantasy books on my shelves and just need to start reading some of them. And I've had Elantris on my shelf for a pretty long time now. And I had started it. I was buddy reading it with Elle like 2 years ago. And I don't know why I didn't finish it, but I didn't. So I was enjoying it while I was reading it. I just need to get back to it. What is wrong with me? House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. I have zero motivation now after seeing Jashana really not like this, Roger from Rogers Reads really not like this. Abby from Abby Salter really not like that. Like, this was on so many people's worst books of last year list that I am so terrified now to read it. I've seen a lot of people love it, and it won the Goodreads Choice Award. I don't know what that says about the quality of it, but a lot of people seem to also love it. So maybe I'll love it. I was going to read it last year, and then I saw all those reviews and was like, well, I don't need to prioritize it now. So, but I do want to catch up on that series and see if I want to continue with the Crescent City series. Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart. This is the only book I don't own, but it's a series I need to complete, and I think it has the potential to be a favorite series of all time if it sticks the landing. I love, love, love the first book so much. It was on my best books of last year list. The second book was still good. It wasn't as good. I didn't love some of the decisions that certain characters were making. I thought certain characters were acting very silly. But the third book, I'm just, it has so much potential. I'm so excited. I love this world. I love the characters. So I'm just crossing my fingers that it's more like the first book and less like the second book. Ninth Reign by Jen Williams. I just need to start this for Elle. Elle from Elliott Brooks loves this book. I'm sure everyone's heard of it from her. I need to start it because she loves it so much. And I've seen a lot of people pick it up based off of her recommendation and also love it. So it just keeps bumping it up and up and up on my priority list. So I just need to get to it. City of Brass is another one by S.A. Chakraborty that I see so much love and praise for, and is on my shelf, and is a series I was supposed to start last year, same with Ninth Reign, and I just didn't. Then I didn't have time, or I shouldn't say that. I probably did have the time. I didn't prioritize the time to make for starting this series. So yeah, need to get to it this year. Tigana by Guy Gabriel Kay is a standalone, and it's on my physical shelves, and it's very well loved. Oh my goodness, I see so many people love this book. I don't know if it will be for me because a lot of people praise it for its writing style, and I am not a reader that seeks out very flowery, beautiful writing styles. I like kind of more straightforward to the point writing styles, so that doesn't necessarily like pique my interest in a book when I hear people say that. But I want to give this a shot, see if I love it, because it is just so well loved. Child of a Mad God by R.A. Salvatore. This is another one I've had on my shelves for so long, and I really haven't seen anyone talk about it. I've seen Jessie from The Bookish Mom. She read it and loved it, so I'm very curious to check this one out. I haven't read anything by Salvatore. I've heard so many great things. He has so many popular books, such a big backlist. I would love to see if I like his writing style. I would still, I think, give other books by him a chance, even if I didn't love this one, because I've just heard so much praise for his earlier books. But I want to check this one out, so we'll see. We'll see. Night Shadow by Sebastian de Castell. This is one I'll definitely get to, no doubt about it. I loved Trader's Blade. Definitely continuing on with that series. I just got Night Shadow, so very excited to start it. Hogfather and Thief of Time. I want to finish out the Discworld Death Collection, even though I haven't been loving it. I liked Mort a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Reaper Man, I didn't like as much, but it was still fun. And then Soul Music, I DNF'd. I did not like Soul Music at all. But Hogfather is Death as Santa Claus. How can I not like Death as Santa Claus? And then Thief of Time. I don't know what the kind of hook for that one is, but I do want to finish out this Death Collection, at least try all of the books in this Death Collection before I move to anything else in Discworld, which I will definitely do. I will definitely check out Guards after I finish the Death Collection. Amari and the Great Game. I've already started it. I'm already over halfway through it, so this will definitely be done in 2023. I love Amari and the Night Brothers. That was a 5 out of 5 star for me. One of my favorite middle grade fantasies. I'm really enjoying the second one. I don't know if it will beat out Amari and the Night Brothers. That one was so good. but it's still really fun, so definitely will be done. Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend is another one I want to catch up on. I know the 4th book is coming out this year. Can someone answer for me in the comments down below? Do you know if this one, like, is the 4th book that's coming out the last book in the series, or are there going to be more books after Silverborn? I would love to know. I have not looked into that, and I need to. But Hollowpox is the next book in the series that I need to read, so we'll definitely be doing that. I'll be reading it probably, if not this month, then next month. The Girl Who Could Move Shit With Her Mind. This is one I picked up purely based off of the title and the cover. I was like, what is this? It looks like a ton of fun. Let me grab it. And I haven't read it yet, but it sounds very Jessica Jones-esque. I don't know if anyone's watched that Netflix series. I loved Jessica Jones, and it sounds like kind of a sassy, like female superhero type character that's tasked with these missions. I have no idea. It sounds fun. It sounds fun. So I definitely want to try this one, and the entire series is now completed. So if I like it, I can just go through the whole series this year. The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. Another author that I've read the whole Raven cycle from, and I loved it. I started the Dreamer trilogy. I need to restart it before I continue on, but I haven't read anything else by Maggie Stiefvater yet, and I've heard great things about Scorpio Races, and it's a standalone, which we love. So this is another one where I want to see if Maggie Stiefvater is an auto-buy author for me, or if it was kind of just the magic of the Raven cycle that I loved so much, and I don't necessarily have to read everything by Maggie Stiefvater, so we'll see. And then finally, The Last Blade Priest by W.P. Wiles. This one was sent to me for review last year by Angry Robot, and I have done a very poor job of reading the books sent to me for review, which is why I've kind of paused on taking any more books right now for review until I'm a responsible human and can catch up on all of the books that I have already been sent to read them. But this is one that initially intrigued me so much because of the premise. It was a standalone, and it just sounded like a very political, sophisticated type dark fantasy world that I would probably really enjoy. So I need to give it a chance, and I need to read it and tell you all what I think of it. So those are the 23 books that I would love to read in 2023. I would love to know, what is one book that you absolutely want to read this year? Leave those comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.